Okay, wait, it's been a minute. By means of this item that it was a witness's pen that was used to seal the poison. Oh, we use this one. A chemical reagent.
Take that!
Counsel, what is that bottle? This bottle contains a unique chemical reagent that can identify the poison in question. Yes, that poison is an entirely new synthesis of alkaloids developed by my colleagues and I. It would be impossible to detect traces of it by any other method. Or, from another perspective, simply with this chemical reagent, anybody at all could check for traces of the poison. A reagent? What? I forgot what voice I gave him. One drop of the contents of this bottle on the tip of your fountain pen, Mini-Memo-san, is all it will take to solve this case beyond all reasonable doubt. No, you can't. I won't. Oh. Your crimes are bad enough, but at least know when to admit defeat. Your Excellency, the defense requests permission to carry out the test on the fountain pen at once. Yeah. What's he doing? Going Super Saiyan? Oh god. Oh god! Civilized nation, but bowing its head to every rule, took up arms in the form of a mighty pen. I fought tirelessly on the name of justice. Many. Susato, with me. I'm there! Hiya! Whoa. I do it right. That was a Susato takedown, wasn't it? A dual takedown in court. Not quite. That was a Ryutaro takedown. The instant the first drop of the reagent touched the nib of the fountain pen, it was clear to everyone present. Yeah, I was about to say, she kept saying my name. God, what voice did I give him? When I saw it there in the lab, the poison, the devil got hold of me and I decided to do it on a whim. I decided to murder on a whim. I excused myself and emptied all the ink down the sink in the bathroom, washing the reservoir out carefully. And then you waited for an opportunity to suck up some of the poison, didn't you? Into your fountain pen. Yes, that's right. Answer me one thing, Mini-Memo-san. Why did you steal it? For what purpose? I know, I was about to say, what's the... I forgot. Isn't it obvious? To find out what it was made of and expose it in an article. I mean, it was a secret project after all. Too juicy for a journal like me to pass up. Then why did the Englishwoman end up dead? I went into that hut intending to quiz her on her situation, that's all, as a reporter. A known killer, enjoying full freedom, evading justice by leaving the country. Yeah, that... I told her what I thought about it. She just laughed in my face. Oh, was this? A Far Eastern caveman purporting to practice journalism? Really? You must learn the difference between reporting and listening at doorways, you ignorant plebeian. What did you call me? This country, with its pretensions to a justice system, to a free press, it's really very depressing. You see our superior ways in the West, yet you lack the mental capacity to emulate them. Get out of here, you wolf. Get out and crawl back into the cave you came from. That's when I remembered about the deadly poison I happened to have in my pen at the time. What a terrible tale. In my head, I knew I should just get out of there as quickly as possible, but I couldn't. I couldn't let her get away with what she'd done, when she clearly had no remorse at all. I suppose it was my journo spirit getting all fired up. I'd like to ask you something. Yes. You often talk about justice. But surely, as a journalist, you could have used other means to deliver the justice you sought. There's no justice in the press. Sorry? After that trial 9 months ago, I kept digging and digging to find out what had happened in that courtroom. And finally, I discovered the truth. It was a cover-up. That's what it was. A cover-up? What do you mean? I would remind you of your position, witness. Be careful of what you say. Oh, come on. Doesn't it strike you as strange? We're suddenly not allowed to convict a foreign national? Consular jurisdiction should never have come into it. And yet that puffed-up Englishwoman was gonna sail away into the sunset a free woman. The only possible explanation is that behind the scenes, some deal had gone down between Britain and Japan. What sort of deal? I'd done my research, dug up all the dirt, it was all ready to be published. He's gonna die, by the way. But you know what happened? The editor just tore the article up. He came under pressure from the government, you mean? If our government is gonna let criminals walk free, if they're gonna crush the free press, then what choice do I have but to see that justice is done with them? Okay. Let's not forget, Minimemo-san, that you committed murder yourself and you tried to lay the blame at the defendant's door. I'm sorry, but you're no better than Giselle Brett. What? The truth is, you have no right to talk about justice at all. Ah, I suppose. It would appear that we have reached a conclusion in this trial at last. Counsel for Defense, Ryutaro Naruhodo. Oh. Ah, yes. Ahem. Sorry, Your Excellency, just musing in a manly way here. It's almost unbelievable that this is your first experience at the Supreme Court. It was an excellent performance. He said so differently about Naruto. Oh, in truth, it very much reminded me of your cousin's exploits. Oh, Naruhodo-san. Ryunosuke, you mean? The way he handled the trial 9 months ago, and the way you handled this one. It gives me hope that we are genuinely entering a new era of justice in this land. That's very flattering, Your Excellency. Hearing the defense you put forward today made me feel most keenly that the future of our justice system will be forged by you and your contemporaries. Thank you. So, Prosecutor Ouchie, do you have any final thoughts? Please don't kill yourself! No! No! Prosecutor Ouchie! I, Tagetsuchi of the Ouchie clan, have been bested by a callow youth not once but twice. If there was any shred of my former self left, it has withered and died here today. Gosh, your journey to cultural enlightenment sure took a while, didn't it? Silence? Rather than living on in shame, I will end it all now with this blade. For that is a true path to autism. Autism. One hopes that's the only way in which he'll be modeling himself after the witness. Good lord. Brig of my top knot, the time is right for farewell. Hope is lost forever. Taketsuchi. Oh my god. Ah! Oh. The turtle! Now, in regard to the defendant, Rei Membami-san, they're just letting that go, huh? Yes, Your Excellency. I have reached my final verdict. I hereby find you not guilty. Whee! Court is adjourned. Court. It's over. My heart is still pounding in my chest, though. It's all I can do just to stay standing. Lawyers have such great responsibility, such a great burden to bear. Don't they, Naruhodo-san? Susato! Thank you so much. You were so dancing in there. Yeah, they're like, anyway, not guilty. Congrats. Ray and Father. Honestly, I'm so touched by everything you... Oh no, I think I'm going to cry. It wasn't easy, but together we made it. I was on the verge of tears at the end, too. The only reason I'm still here is because of you. Gay, homosexual gay. Oh no, I can't take all the credit. It took courage to tell the truth in there. You did wonderfully, Ray. So I would have to say that the congratulations belong to you. Susato, don't be so standoffish. Sorry? We're friends, equals, and the trial's over, so no more of this formal super humility nonsense. It's time to celebrate with swagger, to throw caution to the wind. Caution to the... what? I'm the great defense lawyer, Ryotaro Naruhodo, and I'm taking you out to a milk bar tomorrow. You wanna go on a date, is what you're saying? No other shit. Wait, that's so true though. Or something. Right, I see. I'll, think about it, Ray. At any rate, we really knocked the wind out of that horrid man, and it felt so good. Yes, it was satisfying. It really was. Isn't there anybody else we could throw together? I hope you're not looking at me, Ray. Oh my goodness, no, of course not. Of course not. Ah, there it is at last. Ray's lovely smile. You fought for your friend to the very last. As your father, I'm extremely proud of you. Defense attorney Ryotaro Naruhodo. Thank you, but I couldn't have done it without your help. Anyway, it's time to bid farewell to Ryotaro, I think. I shall miss him in a way, but It's back to Susato Mikotova now. So, I'll never see him again then. What a terrible shame! What? Oh, they just realized. What is happening? Soseki-san, Inspector Hosonaga, I do hope you've been keeping well. Is that really you? Yes, I had to change my appearance for, well, obvious reasons I hope, but it's me. I don't know. I guess they, like, finally looked at me or something. Susato Mikotova. I don't... So dashing, so divine! No! Doubly dashing, yes, and devilishly divine, just look at you! I had no idea, Miss Susato-san Esquires, that you were locum student Naruhodo-san Esquire's cousin. I'm not, but... Astonishingly astounding ace attorney! Oh, title drop. Poor Soseki-san, so confused. I still remember the first time I ever met him. He was in a prison cell in London. What an extraordinary conundrum it was that the unwitting student from Japan found himself embroiled in. But after Naruhodo-san's skillful defense... Skillful spelled with double L? At the Old Bailey, Soseki-san was free to return to Japan. And now he seems to have earned himself great fame as an author. I'm stunned. That's a truly impressive disguise. Even I had no idea, and I'm a chief inspector at the police bureau. Who came up with Mr. Turtle, no less? No, I appreciate Mr. Turtle, don't worry. I'm not sure you should be admitting to that, Inspector. Amazing. You're a woman of many faces, I see. Just two, really, and this was a once-in-a-lifetime event. I hope. Oh, I'm not a patch on you, though. Wait. Oh, I'm not a patch on you, though, Inspector. What does that mean? Well, I am a professional, of course. I do worry about Inspector Hosonaga sometimes, I really do. 9 months ago, when he appeared here at the Supreme Court to testify, he was undercover, disguised as a head waiter of a restaurant. I got this. And then on the steamship to Great Britain, of course. Excuse me. Disguised as a sailor to keep us safe on the journey. Not all of us, apparently. That didn't help you, did it, Kazuma-sama? From my perspective, I have to admit that I have mixed feelings about all this. I mean, now the truth has been lost forever. What do you mean? I'm talking about the murder that the Englishwoman committed at the end of last year. Ah yes, it was an English doctor she killed, as I understand it. Dr. John H. Wilson, yes, the man I invited to Japan personally. The mystery is, why did she kill him? And now that the culprit herself is dead, we'll probably never know the answer. On the voyage to Great Britain, we had a most unexpected encounter. With Mr. Herlock Sholmes, the great detective, I mean. Yes, I remember Mr. Sholmes well, of course. My arch-nemesis, how lightly you utter his name. Well, according to the stories published about him in The Adventures of Herlock Sholmes, the detective once had a partner who helped him solve crimes, a best friend. And that man was an exceptional doctor of medicine by the name of John H. Wilson. What? Dr. Wilson? I just can't believe that it's a coincidence. I think that the English doctor of medicine killed here in Japan 9 months ago must have been the friend and partner of Mr. Sholmes. And if that's really true, then the poor girl won't ever see her beloved father again. Ah! I miss her. As you know, I traveled to Great Britain once myself to study. It was around the time you were born. Yes, grandmother told me about it. On returning to Japan, I took up my professorship at the Imperial Yume University. But I also serve another role as an advisor to the government on diplomatic affairs. Yes, I was aware of that as well. In that case, I'm sure you understand that there are some confidential matters I cannot divulge to you. Could you just tell me one thing? Why did you summon me back to Japan? It's been 2 months now since I returned. When I left England, it was because an urgent telegram had arrived from Japan. It said that you'd collapsed with a high fever, and you were growing weaker by the day. Yeah, he looks totally fine. What? Where did that news come from? That's what I'd like to know, because after that long sea voyage, I found you in fine health, Father. Was there something in Great Britain that you perceived might inconvenience me in some way, or harm me? That's really the only explanation I can think of. Dear me, do you reserve your most cutting glares for your father, Susato? I'm sorry, my dear, I simply can't— Ah! Let me go! Ah! 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 Many Memo-san! So, one throw wasn't enough for you. I've got one last thing to say before they take me away, Professor. Me? I know the truth. I know you had a hand in what went on. In that visiting student's fate. Visiting student? Giselle Brett, you mean? No, not her! The student of law who left for Great Britain 8 months ago. What? Student of law? He must mean Kazuma-sama. What are you talking about? What does any of this have to do with Kazuma-sama? Nobody here in Japan knows anything about it. They don't know that the guy never made it to England, that he died on that steamship, and that he'll never— Oh! 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 Well, I didn't expect to find him in here. What were you officers playing at? Terribly sorry, Your Excellency. They did not do anything. They just let him talk. I was coming to tell you that the rickshaw has arrived, Yujin, and it's a good job I came by. Well, no one else was gonna do it. I thought, Membami-san would do it. But I guess not. Yes, thank you for dealing with him, and I'll be there shortly. Oh, Your Excellency. Ha 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 ha! The trial's over. I'm not Your Excellency anymore. Merely your father's friend, Seishiro Jigoku. And may I say that since I saw you last, you seem to have taken on a more dashing appearance. Susato! He's gonna kill us. Did you know all along? From the start of the trial? A judge sees everything, Susato. I couldn't let you take the risk if Seishiro here hadn't known, and then he'd recognized you. So I had a word in his ear beforehand, as an old friend. So, Seishiro, shall we? Yes, having ruled in that case, we now have various diplomatic issues to address. Before you go, Father. Sorry, my dear. We shall have to return to our earlier conversation at a later date. He's gonna die, by the way. But well done again, both of you. You did admirably. Oh, thank you very much. What did you think of my Seishiro sling, eh? It's been a while since I sent a man flying like that. Ha ha ha! I like how everyone has their own little move except for Ryunosuke. Whatever could father be hiding from me? About Giselle Brett. About Dr. Wilson. I think conflict of interest. The defendant worked for him in the lab. And now it seems, according to the reporter, about Kazuma-sama. I'm going to have to bring this up with father sometime. When nobody else is around. Judicial Assistant Mikotova-san Esquires, could I have a word? Oh, yes, of course, Soseki-san. What is it? Yeah, I didn't... Okay, well, I think it's mostly for Ouchie. I think he would have killed himself if he knew that a woman was representing in court. I think perhaps it could be fate that we're meeting again like this now. You see, there's something I need to tell you. Oh? I believe that it may be related to the reason why your father summoned you back from England. This I have to hear. Please, Soseki-san, tell me at once. I will! As you know, my time in England was terrible. Cursed, I have no doubt. Such awful things I was embroiled in. Thank goodness Locum soon Naruhodo-san Esquire stepped in. After he secured my freedom, I couldn't wait to get on a ship back here to my homeland. Having arrived in Japan, I submitted a report about my experiences to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The next thing I knew, I had a visitor. It was your father, Professor Mikotova. He wanted to ask me all sorts of things about my report. It looks like he's just wearing like a bathrobe. But it's probably a kimono. My father... He seemed to be especially taken with a particular part of the report. Anyway, he left eventually, having thoroughly quizzed me. But it was the very next day that he sent a telegram to you asking you to return to Japan. What was it then? The particular part my father was interested in? I don't really know exactly. But do you remember them? Those two terrible cases I was caught up in. Of course, I could never forget. Your father seemed to concern himself mainly with the second case. Second one? You mean the one Mr. Sholmes forbade any of us talk about in public? Which is why the only case involving you that any member of the public is aware of is the first. Well, I don't care. I don't have to listen to what that dastardly detective says. Anyway, the point is, it seems that case somehow holds the key to all these curious unanswered questions. Is this the last... Wait, what case is he talking about? That horrific, hideous, heinous case. The case of the haunted lodgings. What, the apartment? What? That case somehow caused my father to summon me urgently back to Japan. I thought the whole business was over, but it seems I was wrong. Perhaps I was only the start. Perhaps the story is not yet told.
So, the mystery of that English woman's death is solved, thank goodness. And having stood in the Supreme Court now, I think I can comprehend a little better. How you must be feeling as you fight for people's freedom in a foreign land, Naruhodo-san. But actually, I'm writing to you today because of another matter. I met Soseki-san and we talked about that second case he was involved in. Father has said nothing to me, but I feel certain of it. That case holds the key to some great unsolved mystery. My notes on the case should still be in the office, tucked away at the back of the shelves on the left. Perhaps you might like to look over them again. Today, for the first time this year, it feels as though summer has arrived. The sky is a brilliant blue. It makes me long to see you again. Yours, Susato.
Wah, wah. The Memoirs of the Clouded Kokoro.
It was a ghastly tale of a winter's night. One of an invisible killer and a crime perpetrated on the pavement along Briar Road. As the victim lay at death's door, the mystery of just who had stabbed the young lady from behind had been resolved. But no sooner had my friend saved that Eastern Exchange student from his harrowing plight, then in the dim, flickering shadows of gaslight did a second bizarre crime rend the stillness of that very night. I dare say most can still recall the sensational headlines of the day. Haunted apartment of death, the condemned criminal's curse, the dread demon of coal gas. Yet, though the great detective had at once discerned the truth upon his arrival at the scene, it only proved to be the overture that announced the rising of the curtain on a most tragic play.
Oh boy. Aw, I was hoping I would play the whole game as Susato. My name is Ryunosuke Naruhodo. I'm a fledgling lawyer, just starting out on my journey. 6 months ago, I arrived as a visiting student of law. Having made the long voyage across the sea from the Empire of Japan to here, London, England. And on the way, in quite extraordinary circumstances, I made the acquaintance of a world-famous detective. Currently, I reside in the attic of the detective's own lodgings, from where I run my legal consultancy of sorts. I've successfully defended a number of clients in Britain's highest court, the Old Bailey. But since a particularly grueling and unforgettable legal battle 4 months ago now, I haven't returned to the courtroom. In truth, I lost my right to return. But that epic trial was just one small part of an epic tale, a tale which was now about to awaken from slumber. Thanks to a letter that had arrived this morning from my homeland. What a delicious smell wafting up the stairs. It must be nearly time for breakfast. I'd better go down to Mr. Sholmes' suite and say good morning to the great detective and his flatmate. Ah, Bruno, good. I was just about to call up to you. The bacon's ready. Good morning, Iris. It smells delicious as usual. Before we eat, though, I have some news. I had a surprise this morning. Shh, not another word, Mr. Naruhodo. This could be just the abstruse thing for my pre-breakfast stagnation-repelling mental stimulation, my dear fellow. You are just saying words. Morning to you too, Mr. Sholmes. Ah, yes, I see. So that's it. The truth is as clear to me as day. My faculties of observation have revealed it again. What are you talking about? You, Mr. Naruhodo, you have, this very morning, met with a surprise. Well, is that not the case? Really, my dear fellow, it barely warrants explanation. Firstly, your hair is particularly unkempt, somewhat reminiscent of a bird's nest. Secondly, you have neglected to fasten the third button of your jacket. Clearly, when considered together, these two facts point to you having been flustered this morning. Can I talk now? But of course, I don't look for admiration, you understand. My hair always looks like this. It's been this way since I first met you. Oh, it has? And the button was ripped off last night, if you remember. By you. What were y'all doing last night? Well, he pulled your button off. Ah, yes, I recall the incident now. It was after supper, was it not? What are y'all doing after supper? As the evening advanced, I picked up my violin and began to play the wailing notes of a haunting tune. But then, to my utter dismay, the third string snapped. Why did it have to happen? Why? Little wonder, then, that in my vexation I grabbed the first button I saw and ripped it from its proper place. Well, I'd like it back now, please. It's troubling me that I can't fasten my jacket. And it's troubling me that you expect me to know where it is. Somewhere thereabouts on the floor, one presumes. Helpful. What matters at the present time, my dear fellow, is simply whether or not my deduction was unerring. But Hurley, Bruno said it when he came in, didn't he? I had a surprise this morning. Well, that really is a surprise. Girl. Yes, this man is the pride of the British Empire. The famous consulting detective, Mr. Sherlock Holmes. There can't be a single person in the world who doesn't know his name. Alright then, enough of this silly conversation. Come and eat this bacon before it goes cold. And I have a new herbal tea for you to try too. My latest special blend. And here we have Iris Wilson, Mr. Sholmes' lodger and companion. A truly exceptional young girl who's the author of a highly successful serialization here in London. Yes, The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes as published in Rand's magazine. So, Mr. Naruhodo, won't you put us out of our misery? What surprised you this fine morning? Ah, well, I received a letter from Japan. Oh, from Susie, you mean? Was it? Really? That's right, and she had some rather startling news, in fact. Ah, intriguing indeed. You must tell us all about it over breakfast. Oh yes, what fun! I don't know if there's anything for me to look at since the last time we've been here. Huge metal chest with a lace cloth laid on it, being used as a table for tea and coffee. It's very sturdy, that's for sure, and firmly locked shut. That chest contains my father's detailed records of Hurley's many cases. Yes, so I've been led to believe, though personally I've never actually seen inside. And that's the way it will stay. Those papers are a secret between Daddy and me. If you go opening it uninvited, you might find yourself being bitten. What, is there a beast inside there or something? Don't kill me, hee hee. When it gets to this time of year, Londoners seem to have their hearts alight all day long, and I love it. There's something very relaxing about watching the flames flit and dance about. But a fireplace in days of summertime is a waste of space, really no use at all. Rather like a great detective in days of no crimes and no criminals, Hurley. But consider this! Instead of a fireplace, a frost place. That's my latest idea. An extraordinary hearth from which emanates a cool breeze in the hot summer months. What do you think? I think if you invented such a thing, your name would go down in history. The principle is extremely simple. One must, of course, light a cold fire in the hearth. Yes, of course, brilliant! The trouble is, none of the fires I build ever burn cold. How it taunts me. So as you British say, it's a bit of a damp squib. Is that what they say? Why didn't she say anything? She's like, you can't... These are different pieces of evidence from cases you've solved, aren't they, Mr. Sholmes? Not quite, Mr. Naruhodo, not quite. These trinkets are a selection from cases I've solved with particular aplomb. They are souvenirs of my success. Memories, Mr. Naruhodo, memories. Really? So tell me about the case in which the bust of Napoleon featured. I forget. Memories, he says. Wonderful, Mr. Sholmes, wonderful. Books, papers, scientific implements. These shelves are stuffed to the gunnels. What are these words he's saying? Miss Usato wouldn't be able to help herself if she were here. She can't stand mess. Susie might not be able to stand mess, but she wouldn't dare touch those shelves. Oh? Why not? Everything's in intricate balance. Hurley spends ages on it. If you were to touch even one thing, the whole lot will come tumbling down. Huh. Susie noticed it was a very delicate arrangement, right from the outset. Make it sound like a meeting of great minds. But the truth is, Mr. Sholmes just needs to tidy up. Both can be true, I think. Ah yes, this is where you note down ideas, isn't it, Iris? That's some heck of an idea. What's in the melting pot today? The blue carbuncle. Yes, it's from a case of theft that Hurley solved ages ago. The theft of a precious stone. A carbuncle is another name for a garnet, you see. Especially if it's cut with a rounded top. Oh really? And this garnet was blue, was it? I did not know about that. I only know carbuncle from Final Fantasy. Well, that's the thing. They're usually red. No blue garnets have ever been discovered. Oh. So who knows what the stolen gemstone actually was? That's the real mystery of the case. A proper Herlock Sholmes conundrum, huh? Garnets are always red? I look forward to finding out what aroma your tea will have, Iris, every single day. Ah well, I infuse a different concoction of herbs from the garden every time, so it's never the same twice. When you call it a concoction, it sounds more like a science experiment than something for tea time. Oh yes, that's because different blends can have very different properties. Some calm you down, some make you feel jolly, some give you energy. Today's particular blend is something quite special, so you're really in for a treat. That sounds ominous. There's so many different bottles up there on that charming little set of white shelves. Oh, do be careful, Runo. You mustn't try the contents of any of those bottles, even if you're hungry. No, that's how it's spelled. I thought it was a boil too. It was a boil or something with magic. I wouldn't do something stupid like that. I'm not a child, you know. And yet you believe that we can make cold fire. Well, I wish I could say the same for Hurley. The other day he polished off a full bottle of one of my alkaloids. He what? He said he was hungry. I'll be extra careful. Ew. I can type with my eyes shut, you know. I can believe it. When a deadline's approaching, you sound like a Gatling gun. That reminds me of a dream I had the other day. It was such a funny one, it woke me actually. I was typing for a whole hour in the pitch black, but I didn't make a single mistake. That's incredible. But then, when it got light, I found that there wasn't any paper in the machine. Now I wonder if I'd actually been typing at all. I think you might just have fallen asleep on the job. Let's see. Oh, he got this back. The machine really is imposing, isn't it? But I can never remember its name. Hurley calls it his great analytoscope. It can analyze anything at all. That doesn't really help me. What does analyzing something even mean? Ah, an extremely astute question, Mr. Naruhodo. Sorry? Well, as Iris said, my machine here spits out analysis results. Analysis? Blah, blah, of anything with which you care to present it. Let me drink my tea. But how to interpret those results, that's the key, and I confess I have no idea. Huh. Clearly, I'm going to have to construct a great analytoscope to solve the problem. That might not help. Wait, you don't know how to read the stuff from this machine? Ah yes, Mr. Sholmes' faithful musical companion. Wasn't this violin made by somebody famous? Yes, it's a Stradivarius. That's pretty famous. Now, I'm afraid you'd have to save up for 100 years before you could afford one, Runo. But didn't you buy it for a song, Mr. Sholmes? I found it at a pawnbroker among the forfeited articles. It clearly says Stradivarius on the label. What? The ignorant broker had no idea of its true value, you see, so I paid a mere 55 shillings for it. Yes, I have something of a turn for shopping, Herlock Sholmes, bargain hunter. But is it really a Stradivarius then? But of course, my dear fellow, it said so on the label. I think perhaps the ignorant broker had something of a turn for selling. Ah, he's so stupid. Okay, let's see. I don't think there's anything else. Alright, let's talk to him. Back? I thought I would have the letter on me, but I guess we'll talk about it. This is the letter that arrived from Japan this morning, by international post. Oh, how lovely! Look at Susie's beautiful writing! I wish I could read it! And how is your judicial assistant faring, may I ask? She's very well, thank you. In fact, according to what she's written, she actually appeared as a lawyer at the Japanese Supreme Court and won a case. Ah, really? How is she wonderful? A cut above your good self, my dear fellow. I've won cases too, you know. Apparently, Mr. Natsume appeared in the trial as a witness. Natsume. No, I don't recall that name. Of course you do. We helped the man twice? You know, in those two cases that took place on Bry Road 6 months ago. Ah, the mustached, twitchy man with the somewhat feline eyes and the mustache. He didn't have two mustaches, Hurley. Yes, who could forget those two cases? They made a very deep impression on me. Although I must confess the details are a little hazy now. A very deep impression they made on you, clearly. So, what was this startling news penned by Miss Husato? Do you remember the case of the haunted lodgings, Mr. Sholmes? Ah yes, it's very interesting, you know. I don't feel entirely uncertain that a case of that nature did not occur. Yeah, I think we weren't privy to the other case. We only knew of the one. He's totally forgotten then. I mean, I don't know. Anyway, in her letter, Miss Susato asked that we read over her case notes again and investigate further. Though it took place half a year ago. For what purpose? Because of something that Mr. Natsume said to her. Apparently, he suggested that the real reason why she was called back to Japan so suddenly might have something to do with the case of the haunted lodgings. Oh? On Mr. Natsume's return to Japan, Miss Susato's father questioned him about the case, she says. And something Mr. Natsume said appeared to trouble Professor Mikotoba, prompting him to send that telegram. Oh, that case, yes. It was very strange, wasn't it? Yes. And I had compiled the whole story into a nice, neat manuscript ready for publication, too. But then Hurley here was all funny about it, remember? He was very mean. That story must not be published, he said, very mysteriously as well. Really? I said that. Are you sure? Do you perhaps know something about it as well, Mr. Sholmes? About why Miss Susato was suddenly told 4 months ago that she had to return to Japan? It's been 4 months now since we waved Susie off at Dover. It was such a shock, wasn't it? The way she just suddenly announced that she had to go back to Japan. Indeed it was, due to a telegram she received from her homeland, I believe. That's right, telling her to return urgently. Yes, because her father had passed away. No, it just said he was suffering from a high fever, the cause of which was unknown. He is not dead. But according to this letter, that news about her father's fever was just a ruse. I don't know. Maybe he's just playing 4D chess. A ruse? So Susie's daddy lied to her so she'd make the voyage back home? Why would he do that? I have to admit, I have absolutely no idea. But she believes it's almost certainly related to the case of the haunted lodgings. Summoning her back to Japan so suddenly like that, I wonder what Miss Susato's father is hiding. Harley, do you know what it's all about? He's already dressed up. Oh well, who can say? Fuck you. What? But you said... Please, I have engagements, my dear fellow. My calendar is quite surprisingly full today. A stringent analysis of the matter would be excessive, I feel, even if I were quite at leisure. So, man the fort in my absence, won't you, Iris? I will, Hurley, don't worry. See you later! Girl, let's look at the case notes together. He scowled off rather quickly there. I think perhaps Professor Mikotoba isn't the only person hiding something here. Soseki-san was involved in 2 cases, but only one of them was forbidden from being published. By, of all people, Mr. Sholmes. Aha! I found them at last! Iris, are they... Notes about the case? That's right. Susie and I compiled them together. The case of the haunted lodgings. Do you want to read them, Runo? Absolutely. Thank you, Iris. I have no idea what secrets could still be hiding in the shadows of this case. But perhaps if I read over the notes again, something might come to light. That's the spirit. So are we... okay. And so... Iris and I decide to read over the case notes again together. Everything from what happened to our investigation and that fierce battle in court that followed. Reliving every detail. I just need to find a clue, and I have all the time in the world. Because of course, I'm no longer allowed to practice law in the courts of Great Britain. Oh, I guess... wait. Why is he not allowed anymore? I guess it's this. I guess this will show. So why is he staying? It was 6 months ago, a mysterious incident that unfolded on the wintry streets of London. A young woman was found lying on the snowy pavement of Briar Road with a knife in her back. Fortunately, her life was spared, but she was unconscious for several days following the incident. The fog was thick and nobody saw her attacker, but by a cruel twist of fate, a visiting Japanese student was walking behind her at the time and was duly arrested. That man was Soseki-san, and the man who effected his arrest was Mr. Sholmes. Believing in our compatriot's innocence, Susato-san and I decided to represent Soseki-san in court. And after a grueling trial of many twists and turns, we finally managed to prove his innocence. Joyful, joyous, jubilant jubilation! Was the man's reaction after the trial, but his jubilant jubilation was short-lived. We received a telegram from Mr. Sholmes the following morning. The victim of the Briar Road stabbing has regained consciousness. Oh, I don't know. They kinda just left that open-ended, didn't they? Hurry to Bart at once. So Susato-san and I summoned a hansom. What are these words? And headed immediately to the hospital. Ew! Rat. There you are at last. Good morning, Mr. Sholmes. I think not. Oh! You're late! What on earth took you so long? Our telegram only arrived at 5 o'clock, Mr. Sholmes, and it's a 20-minute ride to the hospital. That's right, and it's 5:30 now. I think we made very good time. The time is utterly irrelevant. The fact is, I've been waiting for what has felt like an eternity. Huh. In point of fact, I myself was awoken at 4 this morning by a telegram boy. And feeling it was somewhat unjust that I alone had been roused at such an hour, I sent one to you. Well, thanks for that. Anyway, you're here now, so the victim is over there. She's only just regained consciousness. You should introduce yourselves. And I shall observe from here. So that's the lady who was found on the snow-covered pavement with a knife in her back. Her name is... Ah yes, here we are. Miss Green. She looks so sad. Let's see. Look, there's a photograph in this frame here. Oh yes, it's a picture of a young gentleman. Looks to be about the same age as Miss Green, I would say. Perhaps the young woman's special someone, do you think? My, Mr. Naruhodo, I didn't know you had a sense for matters of the heart. Not in the least, I sincerely said the first thing I thought of. I wonder why this painting's on the floor. A lover's spat? This rounded wooden figure isn't the most charming, is it? Oh, I don't think that's a decoration, Mr. Naruhodo. It's an artist's mannequin, I believe, used when practicing sketching the human form in different poses. Really? It's not exactly what you'd call a typical figure for that purpose, though, is it? Alright! No, I suppose not. I confess I've never seen one quite so full-figured before. Well, if you want to draw a full-figured person, it's the right tool for the job. Rat! Oh, look at this, though. Ah, this looks like the patient's treatment notes. Let's see. Do not feed. What is this place, a zoo? You know, I seem to remember seeing an almost identical sign in our local park. For the pigeons, yes, this is a person. Poor woman, I hope she hasn't read this. Everyone's so mean to her! Eek! A mouse, Mr. Naruhodo! An enormous mouse! I think someone was visiting her. And they just left stuff. Vermin in a hospital. That doesn't seem the best. That looks like a very healthy specimen, doesn't it? It's very plump. I'm not sure we can say that's down to the excellence of this facility, if that's what you were thinking. That must be a bag of Miss Green's personal belongings. She would have been brought directly here after she was found stabbed on the pavement, though. I expect a friend or family member probably brought some things for her. Alright then, let's see what's inside. A change of clothes, no doubt, and... No, Mr. Naruhodo, you must never scrutinize a young maiden's personal belongings. But the young maiden might have chocolates, or biscuits, or caramel. Are you hungry? Don't steal her food. There are lots of balls in the cabinet, aren't there? Do you think it's safe to keep them like that? Hehe, if you were a patient here, I feel sure you'd take some medicine by mistake when you were half asleep. That is a worry, but at least the cabinet has a lock, even if it's only a flimsy-looking one. Oh, I've no doubt you'd manage to unlock that somehow while you were half asleep as well. There are limits even to what I can do when I'm half asleep, you know, Miss Usato. I guess it's early in the morning, huh? Ah, this looks like the treatment notes for whoever's occupying this bed. Let's see. Do not permit to run around. Okay. The patient doesn't seem to be here at the moment, so... He or she is probably running around the hospital then. Oh dear, how worrying. What's worrying is why they haven't discharged the patient yet. Ginger's looking at the leash and working. There are all sorts of medicines in this cabinet, look. I'm not sure if it's safe leaving them in reach of everyone like this. Yes, you're right. I can imagine if you were peckish, you might try a whole bottle or two. Well, at least there seems to be a little lock to secure the cabinet doors. I don't imagine that would stop you if you were hungry. I worry that you'd break the lock. Hunger doesn't turn me into a criminal, you know, Miss Usato. Good morning. Yeah, I was supposed to say, people do be stealing bread and food. Hello, I'm, Ryunosuke Naruhodo from the Empire of Japan. Oh no, was your not that? Are you the man who... No, I'm a lawyer. And I'm Susato Mikatova, pleased to meet you. Oh no, was it you, Narfin? Are you the one? No, I assure you, I'm Mr. Naruhodo's judicial assistant. We heard that you'd regained consciousness and wanted to come to give you our best wishes. Best wishes? For me? Thank you. That's very cute. I'm Olive Green. I'm an artist. Oh, she's also an artist. Well, no, that's not right, is it? What I mean is, I'm trying to be an artist. Well, what I really mean is, I desperately want to be an artist. But the truth is, I don't have any talent. I know I don't. It's no wonder I was stabbed in the back. That was just an accident. I don't think that's related, actually. Gosh, this young woman seems to bend over backwards to put herself down. Seeing as we're here, we should ask her about what happened from her perspective, I suppose. She seems upset. I don't know if we should ask her, but... Suddenly be struck in the back by a blade as you were walking along the pavement. What a terrible experience you had, Miss Green. It was so cold that day, and the fog was so thick, I couldn't see a thing. That was 4 days ago now, I think. Is that right? Yes, that's right. I'm afraid you've been comatose all that time. But the case has been solved, hasn't it? Well, I've been here in hospital, I mean. Indeed it has, my dear madam. Spectacularly by none other than I, Herlock Sholmes. Mr. Sholmes, as you well know, is Mr. Naruhodo's hard-working court that solved the case. Are you yet to hear what happened, Miss Green? Yes, I'm afraid so. A gentleman from the police force is supposed to be coming to fill me in shortly. Oh, I see. Me coming round seems to have made everyone frantically busy. I'm so sorry. I should never have regained consciousness. It was selfish of me. Good lord. Oh no, we're also relieved that you're on the mend, Miss Green. Really, we are. That kind of attitude. Maybe her surname should be Blue, not Green. Ahaha! Funny. So, you're an artist, are you, Miss Green? Oh no! Oh, I couldn't possibly claim that. I'm a fledgling artist at best. I mean, I'm a student of art, really, at the Thorndyke Academy of Fine Arts. Oh my, an Academy of Fine Arts. Great Britain is such a wonderful country. Tell me, Miss Green, do you live here? Do you live hereabouts? Oh, no, actually. I don't deserve it, but I have a little flat on Brixton Road. I see. How very interesting. Oh no, is it? Brixton is some 10 stops away on the underground from here. And Thorndyke Academy is a mere 3-minute walk from Brixton down center. Does that matter, Mr. Sholmes? Perhaps not, but Briar Road is a far less salubrious part of town by comparison, dwelt in by those of inferior means, including the maleficent Mr. Mustache. Inferior means? I suppose Soseki-san does fit the bill. He's just poor, okay? It struck me as somewhat out of the ordinary for a young fine arts student to be walking in such a district. That's all. What's this? She suddenly clammed up. Mr. Sholmes, you should be ashamed of yourself, prying into a young maiden's private affairs. Aha! Oh dear me, do forgive me. If you don't mind... I'm being discharged shortly, so I need to pack up my things. Oh yes, of course, we won't keep you. Thank you so much, Miss Green. Is there a Mr. Narrowfodder here? Mr. Narrowfodder! Narrowfodder now? Well, if you're looking for Naruhodo, the lawyer, that's me, but... Ah, Mr. Narrowfodder, good. This is for you. It's a message from a Mr. Saucy Nutsmeg. What? Saucy Nutsmeg? Mr. Natsume? Send a message to me. But why would a policeman be delivering a message from Mr. Natsume? Exactly. What's going on? What's a Scotland Yard constable doing playing delivery boy at this time in the morning? Ugh, what are you waiting for? Let me see that. Oh! Well, this is most expected. Is something wrong, Mr. Sholmes? Is something wrong, Mr. Sholmes, he says. Have you not seen this note? No, how could I have? It would seem that London's criminals have no intention of letting the great detective rest. A new case calls. A case of murder, no less. We must depart at once. Murder? Call a cab. Time is of the essence. But the trouble is, we've yet to read Mr. Natsume's note. I was thinking we ought to pay him a visit in his lodgings once we did. That will be entirely convenient. Convenient? What do you mean? It's all here in a note, my dear fellows. The murder we must investigate took place at Mr. Mustache's lodgings. Wait, what? I'll hail a What? What? Fiacre at once. It was only yesterday that Soseki-san was in court and we were dispelling doubts about his innocence. That was only yesterday? Ugh. And now, the very next day, there's a murder at the man's own address. He may very well be the unluckiest man alive. Or so it seemed to us at the time, but we were soon to discover it was worse than we thought. Oh! What on earth? Oh my, the gentleman is deceased without question. He's dead! Welcome, student Mr. Naruto Esquire. Mr. Natsume. Oh, why? Why is this happening? Why to me? I've only just got out of court yesterday. I was finally home after 2 days of misery. And then I wake up the next day to this. No early bird should catch a worm like this. Woeful worm without wiggle. I see you're in high spirits again this morning, Mr. Mustache. Not the horrible hairlock Sholmes. Shoo, shove up. Show yourself the door. I never invited you. Mr. Sholmes came here with us. I'm quite sure he'll be able to help you, Mr. Natsume. I am entirely at your disposal, Mr. Mustache. What can I do for you? Ah, heck. Here they are, already, the busybodies. Ah, Inspector Gregson! What a pleasant surprise. Pleasant, is it? Gives me heartburn every time I see your face at a crime scene, Sholmes. Ha! I deduce, Inspector, that your heartburn is a result of your excessive consumption of fried food. Good morning, Inspector. This is a crime scene, don't you go touching anything. Or good morning to you too, Sunshine. Oy. Let's start here. Wait, what? Was this all in your room? Oi! I said hands off! You're gonna mess up my crime scene! Oh, no, I just want to look, that's all. No chance, I know you're kind. You'll mess it up just by looking at it. Ugh, someone's in a bad mood. There's certainly some bad air in here, isn't there? I farted. Alright, it sounds like I better talk to the inspector first and try to curry some favor. Okay, oops. Did not mean to do that. I guess I examine him. So, Inspector, what was the victim's name? Who was he? Mr. William Shamspeare. He was a lodger here. The saddest little meow meow stop. As you can probably tell, he was an actor. A bit of a dead loss, as it happens, or just dead. Mr. Shamspeare. It was the landlord, old Mr. Garadeb, and the other lodger, Mr. Natsume, who found him. The fella didn't rise at his usual hour, so Garadeb got worried and kicked the door down. Oh, okay, this is just a neighbor. But doesn't Mr. Garadeb have a bad leg? Ah, yeah, you're right there. It was that jittery Japanese hunchback over there who actually did the kicking. Really? Soseki-san? The victim was pretty hard up, it seems, even done some time inside for petty crimes. He had no money, no place to go, and no friends. His only acquaintances were the people in this house. Hi, Coach. Miserable life and a miserable end to it. So, what exactly is Mr. Natsume still doing here? He's not involved in the investigation, so shouldn't you have sent him away from the crime scene? Well, I'm not saying it's because the fellow looks odd or anything, or that he acts suspicious. But I thought it would be prudent to take a statement from the cohabiter. You nearly said culprit there, didn't you? Oh dear. Mr. Natsume appears to be under suspicion again. It certainly seems that way. He does just come across as such an odd fellow, doesn't he? Poor man, how unfortunate. Anyway, I can't say much until the coroner gets here. But I don't think the fellow's been a goner that long. The body's still warm. Even if the inspector would allow it, I don't think I could bring myself to touch a dead body. Can I touch everything else, though? Yeah, this is a flashback. What a terrible thing to have happened. It's only been 3 days since I was arrested for the incident on the pavement outside. And then, having finally regained my freedom, it starts happening all over again. Endless existence of excruciating experiences. So the victim lived here on the ground floor, and your room is just 1 story up, isn't it? Yes. Yes, that's right. In a way, we were neighbors, I suppose. So did you know the victim? Were you friends? You okay there? What's the matter with Soseki-san now? It was an innocent enough question, wasn't it? Why does he seem so shaken by it? Well, I suppose he wasn't a complete stranger. Did y'all fuck? But did he ever invite me to his room? Never. On my honor, I swear it. What an extreme reaction. You're probably wishing you'd never asked now, aren't you, Mr. Naruhodo? When we found him here, I felt wretched, which is why I sent word asking you to come. Through that inspector over there. This son of a bitch over here. Mr. Sholmes, what are you doing? We were in the hospital. Okay, this is right after the case where that woman got stabbed in the back. We went to the hospital to check up on the victim and to talk to her a little, and then we get a message. A little courier boy sent us a message to come here. Ha! You need only observe to know it, my dear fellow. Investigating, naturally. There's nothing natural about that pose. Mr. Sholmes, have you made some miraculous discovery? Sadly. Patience, my dear madam, patience. We've not been here in this room 5 minutes. I don't know, he ripped off one of his buttons. So far, all I've managed to deduce is what actually happened. My goodness! But isn't that everything we need to know, Mr. Sholmes? Now that you propose the idea, I believe one could indeed see it that way. At the present time, I have managed to draw 2 incontrovertible conclusions. The first, that there was a physical struggle here last night in which the victim fought for his life. Okay. Mr. Natsume, what's wrong? Is something that Mr. Sholmes said significant somehow? No, don't mind me. Forget I was here. And my second conclusion. is that there was a poison lingering in the air here last night that passed the victim's lips. Nonsense! Alright, Mr. Natsume, why are you reacting so extremely to Mr. Sholmes' deductions? No, please, I pretend I'm not here. Invisible, ineffable, inscrutable, insignificant. Impossible to ignore. You must tell us everything, Mr. Sholmes. Spare no detail. But of course, let the theatrical tragedy before us be unraveled by my great deductions, presented for your pleasure in 2 acts. We've heard some truly astounding great deductions from Mr. Sholmes in the past. No doubt this will be no exception. What miracles will unfold before our eyes this time? Why are you believing in him? He says wrong shit every time. So, my dear fellows, for your delight and wonder, let the curtain rise. For Herlock Sholmes' Logic and Reasoning Spectacular, Act 1. I haven't watched it yet because... Cause of death. Oh, baby's Yankee. Careful observation of the victim reveals us the events that transpired in this disconsolate room last night. Oh, she wants... No one's paying attention to her. Wah. Foam at the mouth of the deceased clearly indicates the use of poison. Maybe they're eating cake. Next to the victim, we notice a large dining plate, which contains, you will observe, 1/2 of a sizable bar of soap. Soap? Meaningful? Indubitably. Why is this soap set so purposefully upon the dish? Like the victim's last supper, in fact, yes. Could it be that the man was about to eat it? Of course, the fork reveals the answer. He's looking at us like, are you seeing this shit right now? It appears that the young man's appetite was his undoing. Taking up arms in the form of his cutlery, the victim engaged in a deadly battle for his life. Yet the struggle against his hunger was in vain, for in the end he couldn't resist devouring the slippery feast. But London's foul soap is besmirched by foul poison. Yes, the victim's life was claimed by poison that tainted the contents of the plate. The soap and the lather about the young man's mouth are too perfectly matched to ignore. I thought that was butter! The cause of death was clearly intoxication due to excessive ingestion of foul soap. Though personally, I have a greater interest in the taste of foul candle wax, of course. Please do not eat candle wax. Suicide or murder? The cause of death identified. We proceed to Act 2, where we ponder the next question. Was it suicide or murder? The audience will recall that death occurred during the victim's last supper. Did the man dine and die alone? This single teacup suggests the answer. To draw a conclusion on such meager evidence would be foolish, however, certainly. The careful criminal could have absconded with his own cup to cover his tracks. Well, allow me to lift the veil of doubt, my dear fellow. Indeed, what reveals the answer, of course, is the broken lock. Though forced open now, at the time of the incident, this door was locked. And the sole key was in the victim's pocket. In other words, when the victim consumed the poison, he must have been alone. Alone with his inferior soap, from whence wafted an inferior scent. And with that acrid aroma lingering in the air, the victim met his end in tragic solitude. We can take comfort only in the fact that his soul was well cleansed on his way to the hereafter. Boo! Boo hiss! Thus concludes the final act of Sherlock Holmes' Great Deduction. There's just one thing, Mr. Sholmes. You're disposed to identifying just one thing, aren't you, Mr. Naruhodo? Pray, what concerns you? Well, no matter how hungry he was, you really think that man would have eaten soap? It's quite apparent that this man had barely a penny to his name. This curious thing, but to one so destitute, soap can suddenly appear quite irresistibly appetizing. How extraordinary. In truth, I've tried a little soap myself in the past. You've eaten it, you mean? My dear fellow, it was some time ago now. My postulation was that it would cleanse my gut. I have never smelled green apple soap. And did it? As I writhed in agony on the floor and spilled the contents of my stomach, yes, I believe it did. The experience taught me a valuable lesson. Soap is quite poisonous. It has an unpleasant taste and leads to great discomfort. In summary, I cannot recommend it. Believe me, I wouldn't eat it even if you did. There's something that troubles me as well, actually. Oh, what's that? It's Mr. Natsume. I couldn't help noticing him shuddering and quivering out in the corner of my eye. Almost as if Mr. Sholmes' deductions touched a nerve somehow. Nonsense! Well, that clenched teeth episode didn't last. I think, judging by Mr. Natsume's reaction, the great detective's deductions may need some gentle corrections in order to reach the actual truth. Yes, Mr. Sholmes' observations and deductions are sometimes a little too sharp. He has a tendency to hit the nail on the side of the head and drive it at an obtuse angle. When he does that, it falls us to straighten things out. Alright then, let's see what we can do. Yes, we must pick out the key words in Mr. Sholmes' quite brilliant deductions, and discreetly exchange them for something that makes a little more sense. If we can do that, I'm sure we'll arrive at what Mr. Sholmes is meant to say in the first place. No, he meant to say this. He meant to say he ate soap. In that case, are you ready for the second performance of the day? Once again, my dear fellows, for your continued delight and wonder, let the curtain rise. For Sherlock Holmes' Logic and Reasoning Spectacular Act 1. Course correction. Hold it! Oh, are we not gonna look at his face? He's looking at us like, well, you can't deny that the fork implies the man was eating something or about to eat something. Yes, that's true. If I were to decide to eat some soap, I should prefer to use a fork than to attempt it with chopsticks. And of course, only half of the bar of soap is left on the plate. But might there not be some other explanation? Something material that proves whether or not the man really ate some soap. Uh. Wait. Oh god, I'm using the keyboard mouse for this. Look, there's more soap on the floor here. Mr. Shamsphere must really have loved this stuff. Let's not jump to conclusions, Mr. Naruhodo. Look closely at this soap. Do you see that it would fit together perfectly with the half bar on the table? What the? How can that be? I think that they are two halves of the same bar that broke apart. Did the victim really eat some soap? I guess that's a question. So we show the other soap. I guess we'll show the other soap.
Take that!
Could it be that the man was about to eat it? Of course! The other piece of soap reveals the answer. It being the other half of the soap on the table. In short, the victim was not eating soap at all. But it's obvious, really, for no depths of hunger could drive any man to attempt to eat soap. You literally said the opposite before. Even I, with my unquenchable thirst for practical knowledge, took only a single bite. But that begs the question of how the man was poisoned, because there's no sign of any food on the table. An excellent observation, Mr. Naruhodo, and one that furnishes us with the answer we seek. Life was claimed by poison that tainted the contents of the plate. Mr. Sholmes is still pushing the soap argument then. Perhaps he's suggesting the man licked the soap rather than ate it. If soap in London is that poisonous, I don't think I want to be washing my hands with it. But there are no signs of any food in this room at all. Of course, food isn't the only thing that passes people's lips, is it? Okay, I can move. I guess the fork, yeah? If the victim didn't eat the soap, then what did he eat? Yes, it's a real mystery, isn't it? Ah, I've got it. He wasn't interested in eating the soap at all. It was this fork he wanted to satisfy his hunger with. Mr. Naruhodo, I really don't think it's helpful to continue with this line of reasoning that the gentleman had peculiar tastes. Susato-san is such a gentle way with words, but I know when I've been told off. She literally said, "Don't be stupid." Yes, a western vessel for the serving of infusions of dried tea leaves. It's a teacup, Mr. Naruhodo, as you well know. Stop putting on airs. It's empty. Ah, so we've already established that the victim wasn't eating soap when he died. However, there's significant evidence to suggest that he was drinking tea. My thoughts exactly. So let's present this.
Take that!
Yes, the victim's life was claimed by poison that tainted the teacup. Indeed, cups have been the vessel of choice for practicing poisoners over the centuries. And it would appear that this victim drank every last drop. There's no sign of food anywhere in the room. Which leads us to the immutable conclusion. I know, now I don't like him anymore. Take the hat off, maybe. The cause of death was clearly intoxication due to the ingestion of poison contained in this teacup. Okay. It's not from soap. Ah, the Western vessel for infused hot drinks again. It's already featured heavily in our deductions so far. Yes, we can imagine that shortly before his death, Mr. Shamspear was having a drink of tea. There would be nothing remarkable about that, but what troubles me is Mr. Natsume's reaction when he heard Mr. Sholmes suggested. There's more to this deduction than it seems. We must closely examine the scene of the crime again for some more clues. Let's see. Oh, he's holding a cup! It's another Western vessel for infused. It's a teacup! And it too is empty. Given that he's actually holding this one in his hand, we can assume that this is the cup from which Mr. Shamspear was actually drinking. But if that's the case, this changes everything. Everything we've deduced up to now is turned on its head. I have a bad feeling about this. I almost don't want to say it. Yes, I know exactly how you feel. Well, you gotta present it.
Take that!
Did the man dine and die alone? This other teacup suggests the answer. Yes, there were 2 teacups in this room all along. Huh. In other words, this is a strong indication that at the victim's last supper, there was a guest present. At the very least, we can say now with certainty that somebody else was here in this room last night, taking tea with the victim. What are you talking about? Utterly, unbelievably, unjustly unreasonable. To draw a conclusion on such meager evidence would be foolish, however. Okay, this is insane. In which case, what more can we deduce about this possible guest at the table? Well, allow me to lift the veil of doubt. You mean to say you know who exactly was in this room at the time of the victim's death? What? How does that reveal the answer? I'm not sure I like where this deduction's going now. Afraid it's too late to go back to the halcyon days of eating too much soap. But the identity of the guest who wasn't here last night when the victim passed away is something I have a very bad feeling about. We can try to ignore your feelings, but we cannot ignore the truth, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, I suppose not. Time to look around again. Oh god. Good lord, the sensitivity is so high. Empty bottle, pile of books. Let's see. At first glance, it seems that the only things in this room are the makeshift stage and the costumes. I overlooked these three books initially. I wonder what they are. Let's see. The titles read... The Picture of Monsieur Lecoq Canterbury Yearnings and A Meal for Gaboriau. Wait, I'm sure I've heard those titles before. It could just be an incredible coincidence, but they're the exact same 3 books that Mr. Natsume purchased the other day. What? Yes, on the day of the unfortunate incident when Miss Green was stabbed. Are you taking her out on a walkie? Are you taking her out? No. I did not see any Discord messages. Okay. I think he ran away again. Soseki-san had just been to a bookshop but bought them, that's right. And now those 3 tiles are here in the room of the victim. Yet Mr. Natsume claims never to have been here before. What does this mean, do you think? I really don't know what to make of it. pile of familiar books. What else is here? Candle. Yes. What's this?
Take that!
Indeed, what reveals the answer, of course, is a pile of familiar books. Quite so, it's no mere coincidence that these 3 titles are here in this room. It's the link to the truth. Huh? Mr. Natsume, you purchased these books 4 days ago at a second-hand bookshop. That's just a coincidence. In that case, you will be able to bring the same 3 titles from your own room, will you not? This very moment. No, never! Non-negotiable! If you can't bring your own copies here, it proves that these 3 books are in fact yours. Having purchased the books 4 days ago and returned to your lodgings, you are arrested the very next day. What is this? Pose. So you could conceivably have brought the books here on that evening, but you never mentioned that. In other words, you could only have brought these 3 books here to the victim's room. Poses! Last night, having returned to your lodgings after the trial concluded at the Old Bailey. In short, there's only one possible conclusion. The victim died here in his room last night as a result of poisoning. And that same night, the victim had a visitor. And that visitor was you, Mr. Soseki Natsume. Yeah, that's how he moves, he poses. This concludes the final act of Herlock Sholmes' great deduction. But that doesn't answer if it's suicide or murder. I guess it answered if he was alone. Not again, not again, not again. Not again! Well then, Mr. Natsume. It would appear you're gonna have to accompany me down to the yard. Again. But wait! Hold your horses! Yes? Door! Key! Locked! Entry! Exit! Entirely impossible! He's so flustered, he's being even stranger than normal. What, you think that's an alibi? You could've just made a coffee. As of... Not when we're remembering this, but as of when we're telling this story, yes, I guess so. What? You live in the same building after all. You'd have plenty of opportunity, I'm sure. What? Misery me! Sorry, sir, you'll get your chance to give your side of the story later. The facts speak for themselves, Mr. Mustache. You horrible Herlock Sholmes. He really has found himself an arch rival now, hasn't he? Come on now, no dilly-dallying. Outside, there's a carriage waiting. Welcome soon, Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. I never imagined I'd be in this position again, but... You have to help me, please, please! I'm innocent! Alright, I understand. We'll come to your cell later and talk about it. And one more thing. Oh, yes? My poor little kitty cat! Please give him his breakfast for me! Don't worry. Iris will take care of him. And so, his evil curse still apparently unbroken. Soseki-san found himself once again the prime suspect in a case of murder. Again. Thanks to the incriminating deduction of the great detective. My dear fellow, that honor belongs to you. I did steer him this way, didn't I? Well, at least that means Inspector Gregson is no longer here. We can examine the crime scene in more detail now. Yes, that's right. And of course... What? Have you forgotten what the inspector mentioned before? It was the landlord, Mr. Garadub, who discovered Mr. Shamspear. Ah, Mr. John Garadub, yes. I expect we could find him in his sitting room on the top floor as usual. Right, we must remember to go and talk to him later then. Wow, at least we can look around here now. This is some sort of makeshift stage, I think, isn't it? Where does the audience sit, though, for the mighty Shakespeare performances? Oh, they said Shakespeare! Actors aspiring to the great stage must practice their art, Mr. Naruhodo, with or without an audience. In fact, on a related note, perhaps you should set up a mock bench for the defense in your office. What? Then you could practice your art every single day. I'll think about it. If you promise to don a beard and play the role of the judge. Well, if that would help you achieve your goal. This I have to see. I wanna see her in a judge outfit. This is a gas wall light, isn't it? It must be connected to a gas pipe in the wall. Gas lights, a gas stove. London really is a city of gas. But now that I think about it, Mr. and Mrs. Garadub had an open fire on the top floor, didn't they? Oh yes, you're right. I don't recall seeing a gas stove up there. Well, I much prefer a real fire anyway. It's so much cozier. Wait, why does he get gas and they don't? They're the landlords. That is suspicious. And here we have another disproportionately large machine. This looks like a meter of some kind. Ah, this is a gas meter, I think. Oh, okay. I guess they didn't want to pay for it. But this guy paid for it. It seems that in this district, residents pay for gas as they use it with coins. Ah, I see. Yes, now you've pointed it out. You can see that there's a slot just here. It looks like it would take a coin. So you mean if you put a coin in here... That's right, that would buy you about 2 hours of gas for lights and heating. So if you were a poor person with no money, you'd have to sleep in the freezing cold. Yes, or if you were a scatterbrain with no change because you forgot to exchange your money at the bank. Thank goodness there's no meter in our office. That's cause Sherlock Holmes is loaded! Can you look at the body? Oh, the poor man, so young to die. Do you suppose it was a very painful death, being poisoned as he was? I don't know. All we can do now is hope that he'll be reborn to a better life. Yes, I suppose you're right. I wonder... Do you think that putting our hands together in a Japanese prayer will help a British soul? Sorry? I made sure I had a reference at the ready for just such an occasion as this, actually. This book is entitled The Beginner's Guide to Praying for the Departed, the British way. I'll just reread it now. One moment. There's quite a spine on that book, isn't there? So we are not praying for the deceased, is what you're saying. As we've seen from the outside, the window is completely bricked up. A vestige of the former window tax that Britons had to pay. What strange things they used to tax in Great Britain. I mean, making people pay for the number of windows they had in a property. It's extraordinary. It's heartbreaking to think of the poor having to block up their windows just to avoid an unaffordable tax. Oh, what is it, Miss Usato? If you look closely, a number of the bricks are loose. Oh yes, it looks as though an amateur has broken out a few of them just here. Was it Mr. Shamsphere who did it, I wonder, being the lodger renting this room? Ah, look at this, Mr. Naruhodo. On the outside, there's a little ledge. And there's something on it. What, outside? Is that just soap? Is there just soap out there? Why does he have so much soap? Brr, it's so cold outside. You can feel it through this gap. It did snow all last night. It would be cold. More importantly, what is it on the ledge out there? What are those snow-covered lumps? It's more bars of soap. Soap? What are bars of soap doing lined up on a ledge outside the window? I think that's how he cools this. I have no idea. But the pair of them look rather charming like that. Still, that's very strange, isn't it? Bars of soap lined up outside the window. I think perhaps we should take one. There are two, after all. Oh dear, I suppose we could. Oh, what's this? Look here at this soap. Ah. Do you see? In the middle there, it's a patch that's a different color. It's sort of transparent, but some sort of fancy design, I suppose. Only in Great Britain. That not a wax seal? It looks like the Hinomaru flag of Japan, doesn't it? How wonderful. It's probably a very expensive brand. Expensive? Then what's it doing in this ramshackle old room? Oh, is he making, fake soap bars? Oh, it's 9. We'll end it here. But thank you guys for coming.